Let's talk about banged up quarterbacks, sir. Starting with the one just up the road from here, and Justin Herbert. Didn't know that you could, fracture cartilage, but he has in his ribs. What's the general sense? I mean, we had Doug Peterson on yesterday. It's like we're expecting to see him. It's Jaguars at Chargers. But the question is how and how lingering can this injury be, and what you're hearing about out of Chargers camp?
Yeah. I mean, you hate to say pain tolerance. I hate saying pain tolerance because that puts it on the player. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You sort of I feel like you make him look bad if he's not. But I think it is part of it. You know what I mean? Like that. It's dealing with that pain and I think we all saw what happened and how painful something like that would be. And so I think pain tolerance is a part of it and how that relates to his functionality. And how much it's going to affect his ability to twist his body and throw the ball. And I think he's going to be okay. I will be interested to see how that does affect his ability to be effective as a passer and how aggressive he is as a runner against the Jaguars. And I would think that Brandon Staley and that staff, they'll probably do some things to try to work around that so he's maybe not getting knocked around quite as much. And obviously limited his exposure in the running game. But certainly I think the pain part of it is a major piece of it for Justin himself.
No, and I understand when you say it's about pain tolerance. It's not our pain to tolerate, right? To say something like that.
Right.
I totally get what you're saying, but you have to also wonder how he'll be able to perform in the manner in which we're used to seeing him perform with an injury like that. Do will he wear one of those flak jackets? It seems like that's what we're going to see, right? He's got to wear something like that.
I guess so. I'll go back to my NFL Network days when I would always try to get a prop for our hits on Sunday morning.
There you go.
And I can remember that was when a quarterback had an injury like this, that would be the first thing I would do is can I get the actual thing? And I can remember doing it with Michael Vick one year with you where I think it was at the very early stages of them using actual Kevlar for these things. So I would assume there'd be something like that in play where there's going to be some sort of space age vest that he's wearing or something like that to protect his ribs.
Well, moving on.
That's pretty standard in these sorts of situations.
Moving on to quarterbacks who are playing with pain. I'm sure they all are, but one that our colleague, our friend Jay Glazer, reporting out 4 broken bones in the back of Jameis Winston. What's going on with him? The Saints and Michael Thomas, your Buckeye, looking pretty good, getting in the end zone a couple times. They're taking on Carolina, a pretty big game in the NFC South this weekend. What's going on with Jameis? Anything?
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see which way this one goes because I think that sort of explains a little bit of the issue he had. He didn't play great down the stretch of that game on Sunday, and so I think for all the reasons you were optimistic in week one, there's obviously some reason for pessimism in the way that the week 2 played out against Tampa and being held out of the end zone to the very end and all of that. So I think if there's any positive to be taken from that, Rich, it could be maybe it explains some of the issues he has because I can tell you, having talked to Dennis Allen after their first game, they were super optimistic about where Jameis was and kind of the revamped receiver group, because if you think about it, it really is 3 brand new receivers because Michael Thomas wasn't playing with Jameis Winston as a starting quarterback. He was hurt. So you have Thomas on top of Olave on top of Jarvis Landry. They were optimistic about where Jameis could take all of that, and maybe this explains away a little bit of what happened last week.